It's easy to dismiss concepts or ideas that seem uncomfortable, confusing, or unreal. The Nebulous is a new podcast that explores perceptions about complex themes relating to the human experience and the ambiguities of the human mind. I'm Lexi Smith, and I invite you to challenge your beliefs, open your mind, and learn from a medium, hypnotist, dream specialist, philosopher, and a psychic about the hazy nature of their work. In each episode of The Nebulous, we help untangle, explain, and define aspects of controversial topics and share a passion for obscure experiences. The podcast attempts to understand unique themes that have many critics and no definite answers. You may find you have more questions and opinions about these subjects than you ever thought you would. Subscribe to The Nebulous today. I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine that you're at a fair. There's people starting to shuffle into their seats in front of a big stage with about 10 folding chairs spread across the stage. The hypnotist comes out, and first things first, he asks for volunteers. We all question this process. Are these volunteers chosen? Are they actors? What's going on here? Now keep this picture in mind, and we'll come back to it later. For now, let's focus on the concept itself. Hypnosis is often associated with negative vocabulary and connotations. What we hear is the complete opposite of the comfort we seek when looking into a new therapy or solutions to better our health. Instead, what we desire as human beings is reassurance and the quickest and most efficient results, whether the issue is mental or physical. So what is it about hypnosis that gives it this suspicious and distrustful reputation?
As you listen to my voice, every muscle and every nerve throughout your entire body is going to relax.
Maybe it's the stigma and false beliefs from what we see in a stage hypnosis show.
It seems sort of fake.
Control of some sort.
I think it's like when someone manipulates and controls someone's brain, put them in a trance.
Such a relaxed state of mind that you kind of don't care about what you're doing.
Easily, naturally, and automatically. Easily, naturally, and automatically.
Or maybe it's the complexity of keeping an open mind.
If I were to describe what hypnosis is, it's actually pretty tricky to try to define it. We've been trying to do that for 150 years with limited success.
This is John Wylie, who has education, trainings, and certifications in hypnotherapy, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, Advanced 5-Path Hypnotherapy, and life coaching. Now let's go back to the questions that were posed at the beginning. Who are these people that go up on stage at hypnotist shows that we're so quick to dismiss and question?
So a lot of it, I think, could be paid actors. But if not, I think it's just people falling for the influence of someone.
Stage hypnosis does have its own set of tricks and entertainment factors. But the people up on stage really are as random as they're made out to be.
Stage hypnosis is a lot more closely related to a magic show than it is what we as hypnotherapists do. In a stage hypnosis show, if you've ever been to one, the process that the stage hypnotist uses is pretty similar no matter where you go. The very first thing that they start to do is they start to weed out the people that are not ideal to work with. Now, the stage hypnotist wants to work with somebody that is, first of all, really good at hypnosis, because there are elements of genuine hypnosis in the show.
So they're watching you. The hypnotist is watching you from the moment you take your seat in order to take note if you're good at hypnosis. So once they have these specific people pinpointed, are they willing them in a way to get on the stage?
The hypnotist is looking for people who are going to play along, who are going to be compliant, who are going to do what the stage hypnotist wants them to do. So there's lots of different ways that person does that. They start usually right off doing what we call suggestibility tests. For example, putting your arms out and imagining that one hand is holding a really heavy bucket. The other one is tied to a great big huge bunch of balloons. And as he continues to talk about that, it becomes really obvious to the hypnotist, really fast, who is good at hypnosis, who is participating really well, because you can see the distance in the hands. For those that are really good at it and really playing along well, the light hand is going to be way up in the air, and the heavy hand is going to be way down low, so it becomes really obvious. And psychological techniques, too, to encourage the people that he wants up on the stage to be cooperative.
The fact that this isn't common knowledge, and the fact that the people in the audience think that there's no external factors influencing them to get up on the stage, is usually the advantage that the stage hypnotist has over everyone. It's what keeps people in awe.
There are stage hypnotists that will go out of their way to explain the truth, but for the vast majority of them, that's kind of their stock in trade. That's the fear that they're building this whole illusion on. And that's the biggest challenge that we have as hypnotherapists to overcome, is to help a person to understand that in a very real sense. Even in stage hypnosis, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. The only control that a hypnotherapist has is the control that the client or the subject gives them.
Self-hypnosis. That means that this is nothing you wouldn't do outside of hypnosis.
The people up on the stage, they want to be there. They want to be the center of attention. They don't want to be embarrassed, but at the same time, they have an excuse. They have an exit, because it's called plausible deniability. They can say, I wasn't really doing that because I was under the control of the hypnotist. So all that silly stuff that I did, it wasn't really me. That was the hypnotist making me do that.
In order to diminish the fear and the rumors that exist about hypnosis, understanding the experience that we have been exposed to firsthand is important. The fairs and the entertainment aspect is where a majority of our knowledge on hypnotism comes from. It's also where a majority of the misunderstanding and misconceptions come from.
I think it's like when someone manipulates and controls.
Not realizing what I'm doing and someone else kind of controlling what I'm doing, and then waking up.
You can't really brainwash someone that easily, I think.
These concerns and these fears, they're not anything new to Wylie.
The ideas that people have they're erroneous. They're myths. It's really sad that the go-to concept that people have in their minds when they think of hypnosis is the entertainment variety or the media variety, because hypnosis is such a powerful tool to help people to make changes in their life.
If hypnosis were easy to define and tangible to see, maybe it wouldn't be this ominous, mythical practice that people tend to make it out to be. Possibly having the words to describe it would make it a normal experience in a sense.
If I were to offer a rudimentary definition and explanation, hypnosis is a state of process of focusing one's attention. And that's a huge part of hypnosis. Another component of hypnosis is engaging the imagination. I'll tell you a little story to illustrate exactly what it is that I'm talking about. When I was a boy, going to school, I had a favorite TV show. And I would become completely absorbed in that TV show. In that moment, while I was watching my show, that was all that existed.
You can literally hypnotize yourself without even trying. All it takes is to be so focused on something, even something as simple as a TV show, that you gain the ability to tune everything else out around you. So unfortunately, Sean is faced with the challenging task of easing the skepticism and breaking down the science of hypnotism to each and every one of his patients.
When people walk in to my office and they want to do hypnosis, the very first thing that I do after paperwork, getting that out of the way, then I have them watch a video called The Truth About Hypnosis. And I make sure that they don't have any questions, that they feel comfortable about hypnosis.
Let's take a minute to consider our fears. There's a good chance you have a fear about something you've never experienced, know zero facts about, yet nothing and no one can convince you to let it go. Maybe this comes from a scary movie or a story you've heard. Well, congratulations, you've hypnotized yourself.
Most of the problems that I work with are a result of accidental hypnosis having occurred that causes problems in a person's life. A really good definition of hypnosis is believed in imagining. When people use their imagination to imagine things that are harmful to themselves and or others, or unhelpful in different ways, those kinds of things happen all the time, and sometimes we pick up those suggestions when we're really small. We don't have a lot of life experience. We just kind of take them on board and we imagine that they're true. And they become true for us. And it's so mundane. We experience quote-unquote hypnosis all the time. Sadly, a lot of that hypnosis that we do to ourselves or that's done to us that we take on board is negative. And what I do is I help people to reverse that, to turn it, to transmute it, and transform it into something useful, beautiful.
Maybe this is a therapy that diminishes your fear of public speaking, or self-esteem issues, or anxiety. But we generally choose to dismiss and fear hypnosis. So how can we think about it differently so that it isn't as ominous or scary?
Let's take a 100-watt light bulb, for example. A 100-watt light bulb can illuminate an entire room. But you take that same 100 watts of light and you focus it into a laser. And that laser can cut through steel, literally. And focus has that power. When you take your focus and you narrow it down, you can do amazing things, whether it helps you to be more stable when you're doing yoga or whether you're meditating, which, by the way, uses the same mental muscles as hypnosis does, but has a totally different social acceptance.
Hypnosis is a voluntary and powerful act that has fallen victim to skepticism and doubt. Wylie defines it as believed in imagining. So sure, if you don't allow it to work, it simply will not work. We're scared because we don't want to feel out of control or vulnerable if we don't have to. But remember, sometimes we're experiencing hypnosis without even realizing it.
Some things that look like magic can happen sometimes.
Thank you for listening to The Nebulous, a podcast by Boise State Public Radio. I'm Lexi Smith, music by Coag and Safk, and sound design by Andrew Fisher and Josh Lindgren. On the next episode of The Nebulous, we all have beliefs about our dreams and perceptions of what they mean, and they do have a purpose.
Dreaming is about a collaborative dialogue with the unconscious. The dream is not going to tell you what to do, but it will better inform your life.
Listen to Ruben Nyman, a dream specialist, on the next episode of The Nebulous, a podcast by Boise State Public Radio.